Okay, so we are streaming live to YouTube too. So for those new watching this video, we have a focus group where we are working with the analytical strategy, and we are focusing on optimizations as well as running the strategy for live trading sessions and ongoing. So this is what we are doing at the moment. There are two bonus indicators included, which we go through on the sessions too. And we're going to be doing daily coaching and updates on the strategy, and there's lots of support available via the Skype, Telegram, and Facebook. And there are 4 subscriptions in the DTB system. The specific one that we're looking at here is the $29 per month subscription, and that is the strategy as we just discussed. Otherwise, the remainder of the DTB system is available on a subscription for $21 per week, and that's the entire system with all the strategies and tools that are included. So these are the risk disclosures from NinjaTrader themselves. So there's also a link to that in the on the website, details on that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my VPS where we are doing these sessions. And we've run a few strategy analyzer options. This is one of the latest ones that I just completed a few minutes ago. And I actually set this up on a trending baseline. So I've optimized the YM and the MYM. And with this one, I have set up a stop ticks and a target ticks. So this one is very specifically going to be stopped out at 25 ticks, and it's going to have a target ticks of 40. So looking at the history of that, those are basically the optimized results that are popping up on the in the settings. So we'll look through them a little bit. So over that period, which is, I've actually optimized a larger data period, which is the 18th of July, should I say, 18th of July to the 23rd of August. So you're basically looking at a period of, this is weekly, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the 5th week, or 5 completed weeks of the strategy. So this is optimization that's been carried out. Some weeks, wow, it actually didn't do too much that previous week, but semi-consistent over that period. And the chart itself, if I bring up the chart, we'll look at the entry time too. So with this strategy too, what I have done is I've only optimized the trading hours between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So it's only going to be entering positions between those periods. So there's no trades outside of that window. So the strategy has got those settings inside to be able to choose very specific trading hours. And then you're able to obviously do the stop ticks and target ticks, which we've done. And for this sequence, I've put setting A as 1 to 20 and setting B as 1 to 20. And we've optimized the repaints. And I'm optimizing both the YM and the MYM. And I've got a 120 baseline width in ticks. We'll look at that chart in a moment. And I'm optimizing on max net profit. So if we look at the chart itself, that is what the trading chart actually looks like. So it's going to enter positions. If I scroll back now to, so this would be the last session that it entered. So it entered positions and hit its profit target, and it's got that trailing, it's got that stop ticks. So that is basically what it's going to enter. It's not entering a lot of positions. And also, any positions that it does enter will only be from 9 a.m. and up to 11 a.m. So if there's any positions open at 11 a.m., they will automatically exit at 11. So let's have a look. Some profit targets there. So if we look at the actual trades themselves, we can look at the entry times, the exit times, and the exit name will generally tell us outside trading hours. So that's what happens at like this specific trade entered at 10:58 a.m. on the 19th and exited at 11:24, 11 o'clock, 24 seconds. So that was the next tick, basically, or the next time it registered. So it's basically going to respect those trading hours. And you're going to find that's going to happen all the time. That was like 3 seconds or split seconds, so on and so forth. So that's an optimization on the MYM. I'm sorry, the YM. We can also look at the MYM. So the good thing about running an optimization with both instruments together is you can actually optimize the micros as well as the minis. So with this, I mean, we've got obviously a lot smaller results on this being micros. So we're only looking at a much smaller type of a setup, but this is great if you've got a much smaller account, and you can even enter 2 contracts, 3 contracts. So whatever, depending on what the account balance is, this can actually be increased. So a similar type of thing would have happened over there with this. We've got the trades that entered, so 65 trades. And what I've also included is I've included slippage. So it's very important to include slippage as well as commissions, because you don't want to have results coming from the strategy analyzer that don't have the commission included as well as slippage. So if you had to look at the chart itself, and you had to look at any of the trades that were entered during these sessions through the analyzer, just have to scroll back a little bit, you'll notice that it's got that slippage included. So we're trying to get as close as we can to real life as possible. So that's why it's very important to include slippage in your results, because if you don't include slippage and you don't include commissions, you're going to have these absolutely incredible results, but it's not going to match to anything in live trading conditions. So what you're also going to find is that if you are running your strategy optimization up until current price, you'll notice that the trades are matching perfectly on the chart. So that was the one optimization we did. I wanted to bring up our trades, our support group. I saved a few screenshots in here earlier of earlier optimizations that we actually completed. So this was another one that I did. This one is for a 5-5 bar. So I optimized the 5-5 and also did from the 7th or the 18th to the date. So the same period. The only thing difference with this optimization is the bar size. So different results there, a much higher actual return on that one. So that went up to the $9,000 mark. The second one was 7,000. So there's a few results on there. And this is just flicking through what this one did. So, a few different, so we had a few really good weeks over there. Very few trades though. So we're trying to just have a look at what this is doing. So it's picked up it's entering much fewer positions on this one. I'm trying to see too if I've used stop ticks and target ticks. Okay, so this is another example that I put in. So this is using a 51 bar. So it's going to be a 50 base tick to the next baseline and a 1 baseline width. And what we've done on this one is we've only used the target ticks. So I haven't put a stop ticks in. I've only put a target ticks in. So that's not a concern really, because as the baseline switch, the strategy is going to automatically enter opposing positions. So that generally happens after a baseline break. And with this one, we've been seeing some good results with a very high percentage accuracy because it is a very small target that the strategy is actually targeting. So with this, we're looking at the results obviously is 3,000 compared to 6,000 and compared to 9,000, but percentage profitable, very, very high. So as you can see, that's what the chart would look like. So you can see baselines break all over the place, and they're going to hit their targets, switch over signals. It's a bit hard to see exactly what's going on there. Yeah, it's a bit clearer. So as the price breaks baselines, it's going to be entering positions and hitting its profit target. That's a losing position over there. So it's sold. It actually sold over there, and it went up to form a new baseline. A new signal happened, and then it bought, and then it hit its target. So that is what that is going to look like. Again, much fewer positions over the period of time. This is the micros again. I wonder if it showed the weekly positions for the 20 targets. Yeah, okay, this is the weekly position. So these are the net amounts weekly for the YM using the 51 with the 20 target. So it's a nice consistent run there. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that the next week's going to be up too, but it's definitely a higher probability of these settings at least continuing for a few days extra even. So it's just a matter of optimizing and trying to keep up with the latest settings that are effective. So there's so many different ways to use the strategy analyzer. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to decide which one of these we are going to apply to our trading chart. So are there any preferences from the guys on the call today? Would you like to be looking at a even baseline like a 5-5, or would you like to switch to like a 51, like a flat baseline chart from what you guys have been working with?
Doesn't matter to me.
We can do the 5-5 if you wish. I mean, just to we did flat baseline all last week. Perhaps we can.
Okay, that's a good idea then. So let's flick through these. I'm just going to flick through these again to see what which one was the 5-5. Let me just flick through again. Sorry if it's going very fast. Okay, so this was it over here. So let's bring up our strategy analyzer, and we'll do that. So I'm going to save this one first that I've got over here. I'm going to save this one because this was a good setup. So template save, and I'm just going to call this my so YM underscore MYM, and I'm going to call this a 1_20 bar chart with 20 targets. And then I'll put in brackets 1 to 20 A and 1 to 20 A and B. Goodness gracious me. A and B. All right. So what I can also do with this is I'm going to save this, and I'm going to pop that into the chat. So anybody who would like to run that specific optimization will be able to click on the template and basically add it into their trading chart. So if I go to NinjaTrader 8 and I go to templates, so this is the same place that you would save it. So templates, and then go to not chart, sorry, go to strategy, and it's the analytical bar strategy. That is the last one. Oh goodness, I didn't spell that very well, but that's okay. I'm going to copy and paste that. So copy and just paste that into the Skype chat. So the Skype chat is very helpful because you guys can immediately just get your templates put in there. You can look at those screenshots, and that template is just saved there now. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so let's run the optimization that we are going to use for the 5-5. So template load. I just want to see if I've got one set up here already. I think this one is very similar. Okay, so optimization, let's go and set up the 5-5 optimization. So I'm going to use 1 to 20, 1 to 20, optimizing the data. And what we can be doing from this one is optimizing. It's only 10 minutes to the top of the hour, unfortunately. So I'm going to go from the 15th up until today. I'll actually select the 28th. So I'm going to run that, and I'm going to just see how long this is going to take. Hopefully it takes under 5 or 6 minutes. If it takes a bit longer than it should, what we'll just do is look at the screenshot from earlier and just apply those settings. But in the meantime, we'll run those. We'll run those settings. But let's have a look at the screenshot in here for that 5-5. And then you guys can apply that to your chart. And if you've been running any optimization yourselves, you can use your optimizations. Okay, so that was the one there. That was the one. So from the 18th to the 23rd, I just want to see the one that came up earlier, 6-6. I think this is the one that we're going to use. Just got to see which one. Okay, so this is the list of trades that came up. So looking at the very top one there, we've got a trend 519. That's the setting. So a trend 519. So I'm just going to do one thing very quickly here. I just got to close this VPS, and I've got to reopen it again in full screen. I only opened it on one of my screens. Okay, and then this will just bring it up completely. Okay, great. So as I feared, the optimization, running that data is going to take a bit longer than expected. So I'll just let that run in the background, and we will just use the settings that we got from there. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the chart over here. We're not going to be using any of these strategies, so I'm just going to remove these temporarily. Okay, and I'm going to go new chart, and we're going to select YM. That reminds me, we actually got to look at the MYM2, which settings were effective, right? Okay, so I'm setting up a 5-5 chart. I'm only putting the 15th to the 23rd. That is fine for that. And okay, I'm just going to get rid of these things a little bit. Obviously, I'll take it off the screen so it's not in our way. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this in a new window because I want to set up a MYM as well. So we're going to be doing this. So we're setting up the two windows like that. And we're still running on our sim accounts until we have completed this trial, this sequence of testing that we've been doing. So with the analytical strategy, we're going to pop that in, and we are going to select the 519. So if we're looking at the settings over here, first of all, we're going to be using the time slot, and that is between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So we're selecting that. And we're going to be using trend, and it was 5 and 19. I didn't check the repaint, so I better quickly look at that. Okay, so I'll just bring up that that screen again. What? I'll just bring up that screen for the Skype, so we can make sure we're on the right settings over there. I should actually have made a note, right? We're running out of time. We've got 7 minutes. Oh, we've got 7 minutes left. That's okay. Okay, so just going back to our chart, I'm going to just make a note of this before we move on. Okay, so this is the YM. So there's our YM settings. So it's a 519. So setting A 5, setting B is 19, and we've got false, false, true, false, false. Okay, so false, false, true, false, false. Okay, interesting. So we'll apply that to the chart. Now let's also have a look at the MYM. So let's just see if we can find the settings for the MYM. Hopefully that'll be in here too. There we go. So this is the MYM, and we've got settings 310. So 310, so 3 and 10, and it is false, true, true, false. False, true, true, false. So those are the repaints. So what that are selected. And there's no stops and targets on there. Okay, so we've got that, and we've got the 15th. So we've got the 15th of August up until today, and we use the exact same details on this one, if I'm not mistaken. 15th of August, yes. Okay, let's go back to the chart. Okay, so strategies. First, I've got the data series just to make sure I've got the 15th there. I've got break at end of day, so always make sure you've got break at end of day on. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on here. So data series, check the break at end of day is on. Okay, and now I'm going to apply the strategy settings. So into the strategy. Now, normally we would run that optimizer and then save it as a template and then just quickly load the template. But because we did this a bit backwards, we're going to use this. Now, I'm going to select the box for the use trailing stop. That's it. We can just leave that on. What we can do is actually just increase those values. So this will give us the ability to be able to move our stops and targets as we wish, which we'll play around with during the session. Okay, so 519 trend, and it was, so remember the repaint, it was false, false, so false, false, true, and false. Apply. Okay, so that is showing that one. All right, perfect. So those results are matching the optimizer. So I'm going to press start on that one. And let's do the MYM. So I'm going to just make sure this is MYM. And I'll just recheck the data series. I always want to just double check things. You got to double and triple check with these things. So in the strategy of this one, on the micros, we're going to be doing a 3 and a 10. So that's this one. And again, I'm going to put these in, okay, the trailing stop. I'm giving it wide numbers because just so it's completely out the way, and then we can move them as we go. But ideally, we don't really want to be using them too much. Okay, so trend, and it was 3 and a 10. And with this one, we were looking at false, true, true, false. So first one, false, true, true, and false. And this one was on the 2 account. Now, slippage with YM, you can probably put 2, but I'll just leave it at 3. It's not going to impact too much. Apply, okay. So 310. Okay, so I'm just going to have a look at that. So those results are not as close as the previous ones from the chart. I'll still just go and press start though. So what it'll do, it'll act on those signals. It could be that the last trade. Okay, so the very last trade that was entered looks like it hit its stop. So we're just going to review these a little bit. A few running positions there, not favorable. I want to just switch back to this chart that we were looking at earlier. Goodness, I should really have just saved this thing properly. We did things a little bit backwards this session, but at least we're getting a little bit of experience setting up the charts. So this one here should only have a 310, 0, false, true, true, false. False, true, true, false, 310. Okay. So why is that giving us slightly different results? So we still got the 15th to the 23rd. So let me just review this a little bit. It's difficult to actually review it properly because we haven't got it live in front of us. But what I'll just quickly do is I will bring up the chart, the performance of the chart. The strategy performance, real-time and historical, it should be 49 positions. Okay, that's a lot more. That's almost 200 trades. So something's a little bit out of whack on this one. I'm not too sure exactly what has caused that. We've got a few minutes to just sort that out. So in the meantime, I will just pause the MYM strategy and just have the YM going, and then just go back and review this chart again to see if I can just change the setting or find out why that has a different setting to what it has at the moment. What I can also do, just to save the frustration of it, is just switch to the one just below it, like the setting just below, and use that one instead. Okay, so this is back to the 50s. Let's find the MYM. Over here. Okay, so let's try the 219. Oh, okay. Or 418. I'll go with one of the trend ones. Okay, so that'll match up closer. So 418. So 418. And this one is false, true, true, false. So false, true, true, false. And it is a trend. Okay, so let's go apply that to the chart and see what that looks like. Okay, so we just disable the strategy over here and just do this. Okay, so trend 418. So a 4 and an 18. And false, true, true, false. False, true, true, false. apply and okay. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, not right either. Okay, so that's fine. So what we'll just do is we'll run the YM, and while we're running the YM, we will run the strategy optimizer just for the MYM. So that is okay. So we'll just leave that on pause for now. I'll move this chart out the way. So we'll just have the one strategy running initially like this. And then I will bring up the strategy analyzer. So we'll go new strategy analyzer. Bring that up. This is good too for the guys watching who want to just see how to run the optimizer, which is a good idea just to jump on and do, and we'll run it, we'll open it from scratch too. So that'll be great. Okay, so we're going to optimize we're going to use optimization in there. We're going to use the analytical bar strategy 1. We're selecting 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're not using stops. We're not using targets. We're not using a trailing stop. Any of that. We're going to go 1 to 20, 1 to 20, optimize, optimize, and we'll only select the MYM. If it gives us a lot of results, we might switch to 1 to 10. That's also, we can do that. I'll just leave that on there for right now, and we'll use those dates like we said, including commission, max net profit, run. Okay, so that's 12,000. So we'll just see how this progresses. Okay, do you guys have, all the guys on this call, do you have any of your strategies running on any settings that are showing good results at the bottom?
Yeah, mine are showing good results at the bottom. Nothing is executed yet, though.
Yeah, so that's very likely. Now remember, we only, I'll bring this up while that's going. So if we look at this chart and we go strategy performance and we go real time and historical, what this is going to do is this is going to show us all the previous trades. I'm just wondering if we haven't got a setting here that is too tight actually. Okay, so this is showing us basically a trade a day and entry time. Let's just have a look. A half hour of day. So we're going to have most of the trades happen from 9:30 a.m., 9 to 10 to 10:30. So most of the trades will only start happening from 9:30. And I just want to check over here on the analysis for daily. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that was the last week. So as you can see, it's only entered 3 or 4 trades per day. And this is the new week. So we're on, 23 at the moment. So we're only expecting to enter between, I would say, 3 and 8 trades during the session. Now, we can also look at, I mean, that'll be great if, especially if we end up with at least $500 to, $1,500 in profit for the session. That'll be great. But I know that some of you would like more action happening on the chart, but more action doesn't necessarily mean better results. So we're going to just run this. And we'll see on the micro, maybe we can, when we do our optimization on the micro, we can choose a setting on there that has more trades entering. But based on just the history of this, that is what it's been doing over the last week. So not major fireworks in that regard, but we still got a high percentage profitable. And, you know, it's looking good overall in that respect. Okay, so let's just keep that. We'll give us a few more minutes to run and just see what that one comes up as. You know, there's also nothing stopping us during the session to be running optimizations. And because you can also run optimizations on the very latest current data that is running, and that will, you know, give us the current heartbeat of the market, what's happening right now. I'm going to just deactivate my camera because I know it takes a bit of the top right of the screen. I forgot to record it for the other members. I know when you put it on YouTube, it's not very high definition, unfortunately. Okay, so how do I deactivate my camera again? Well, I've hit a blank on this. Stop video. There we go. I mean, who wants to see me in my pajamas anyway, right? Okay, so hopefully the screen is still sharing. Okay. So while that strategy analyzer is running, I'm just going to check up on something else quickly on there, on here, just to make sure that I've got the stream running effectively. Okay. Right. Okay, cool. So it is definitely working. And that's fine. All right. Close off some windows over here on the side. I'll bring up a chat window. So if anybody wants to pop on any chats during the thing, I'm going to try and monitor that. I'm also going to open up a browser over here to monitor any YouTube things happening.
So Jason, you only need to pause it if you're going to finagle the data series in the strategy. So if you're going to add an indicator, you don't need to pause it. Is that correct?
That is right, yes. So by adding the indicator, that's a good point you brought up too. We can actually just bring up the indicator. So definitely load the Fibonacci Levels indicator on there. Because you can take some manual trades while this is even running. We can actually just bring up the indicator. So definitely load the Fibonacci. Damn it. Okay, so I've just opened up the YouTube thing on the other side here, just so I can monitor that. Okay, so where were we? All right, so we while that is finishing, a very good thing to do is pop on your Fibonacci Levels indicator. Okay, so the brick wall is part of the strategy, so that's going to be on there. So we can activate our Fibonacci levels. That is one that we can use. I'll put on the trend following temporarily. Just be mindful when you do add indicators and stuff, it's going to start calculating. So don't touch anything, especially if you've got a strategy optimizer running, because NinjaTrader is consuming all the resources while the strategy analyzer is running. So just got to be just click once, apply something and wait for it to respond. So I'll give that a few minutes just to finish calculating. It wouldn't normally take this long. So it's also advisable to add your chart indicators before you work on the thing. So that's great. That's added that. I will pop on the trend following. That's the other indicator. And then we can remove it just now. It doesn't have to be there all the time. So sensitivity 16. That's not too shabby to use for that. Actually, I'll make it a bit finer. I'm going to make it like a 12 and apply that. There's no specific setting to use. That's just basically like a moving average type of a setting. So it's going to give you the waves on the chart, and those waves are determined by that sensitivity. So obviously the higher sensitivity is the longer it's going to be plotting. Again, load it and let it calculate first before you do anything else. Okay, so we're seeing just obviously a nice trend up. Before the session even started, if you had this done before, so if you decided long ago or before the session even started, and you ran your optimization, you had your settings on the chart, you had all of that in place, you've basically set up your strategy with the brick walls included. So all these brick walls that you're looking at are basically strategy settings that are in tune with the market as it is. And you can be just taking some manual positions even before 9 a.m. before your chart actually starts. And then taking little scalping positions either off the brick walls or off these Fibonacci levels. They're quite handy to be using. Okay, so let's have a look at the optimizer to see if this is completed, which it looks like it has. Okay, so here is the setting. All right, it's giving this 310 setting again. So what I'm going to do is this time I'm going to go template and I'm going to go save. And I'm going to choose this as today's the 23rd, right? 23rd. So I'm going to call this 23 August. MYM Optimization, save. All right, and then I'm going to bring up my chart from earlier. I'm going to go into the strategies of the chart. And I'm going to go template and load and bring up the MYM optimization. Okay. And it's going to pre-populate everything. And then I'm going to click on, come on, apply. And okay, again, just so now that's working all of a sudden. So there must have just been some little tiny thing I did in there, that impacted that. But I will still also go back in there into the strategy, and I'm going to open up the trailing stop setting. So all I'm going to do is I'm using the trailing stop, and I'm just going to put 100 in there in case I want to move my stops and targets just now. And if I reactivate that, let's see if that changes anything on their chart. That's all that we did earlier. Okay, very slightly. So all that means is that the trading stop that I put on there, it came into effect and it took out a trade. That's all that means. All right, perfect. So I'm going to get rid of the strategy analyzer for now. And then we're going to position these charts on the screen like this, so we can actually watch them for the session. Like that. So just, the guys that are on the call, if you have some trades executed or you have anything happen on your side, just pop it through on the chat or whatever. Let us know how it's going. Okay, and then I'm pressing start because I want it to be active. So what will happen now, as soon as the strategy enters a position, it's going to have a stop and a target that we are able to move. Now, I think yesterday we did this and it looked much better doing this landscape, didn't it? Again, it's a bit tricky doing this on one screen. It helps to do it on multiple screens. Showing this is the only way I can do it, unfortunately. All right. Okay, so there we've got our chart set up. We've got the strategies active. No positions have entered so far. We do have the price bouncing off the high of the day. So we've got 100 there. So we've got the 100 Fibonacci, which is for the 5 minutes, which means we're up there. I'm also going to go load the Fibonacci on the bottom chart, and I won't load the trend following on the bottom chart. I'll just load the Fibonacci levels. They're basically going to show the same as the top chart because it's the Fibonacci levels for that price, for the price, and they are similar pricing. Okay, so let's just pop them on. So when you're loading the Fibonacci levels too, you can choose which ones you want to display. So if you don't want to display all of those levels, you can also remove some. So the ones that have got a 2 next to it, that is the continuation of those Fibonacci levels. So what happens is from the 61.8, it goes and draws a Fibonacci level up from there to the top. So that we can temporarily remove. I've never done it before, or I haven't done it before on the calls where I've done it separately to the top. So the top chart's going to contain all the levels, and the bottom one is going to just include a few less levels. Okay, so we can look at entering some manual positions. So if we look at our chart now, right now, our next strong level of support will be the 61.8. So if we look at that, indicator, that'll be the daily, if I'm not mistaken. Every single day I check. Eventually, I'm going to remember all the colors, right? That's the 240. Okay, so it's the 240 minutes. So it's the 4-hour Fibonacci. Okay, so green is 4-hour. The pink and plum is daily. The blue is weekly. The orange and khaki is monthly. And the white is 60 minutes, and the gray is 30 minutes, 5 minutes. So that should be easier to remember now. Let's just get that in my head. All right, so these are the next levels. So we'll see what happens when price gets around those levels. Could be little scalping opportunities to enter the price or to enter trades. There is another cool thing that you can do and that is you can, if you want to enter trades on a separate chart, you can right click on the chart at the bottom and go duplicate a new tab. And what that'll do is it'll just open up another instance of the chart, but then you can remove the trend following from this specific chart because we don't need to see that on this one. And on this chart, I'm going to load like a flat baseline chart, so I can see where the wicks are, and I can see if there's some really good little opportunities to enter positions like trading back to the baseline or away from the baseline, so things like that. So as an example, we spoke about this earlier on our group Zoom call. We even looked at this earlier on our group Zoom call, didn't we? We did. We actually did. We looked at this and we said that if you want to enter positions, actually, where did we look at it? It might have been a little bit earlier in the day. It was somewhere around here. Anyway, so we said that, you know, if you're going to enter a position on a baseline, you can choose, you know, when the price is, you know, running the baseline like that, you can say, you know, you're going to enter a position and you're going to have a 50-50 risk reward. So you're either going to trade, the price is going to go up 50 ticks, or is it going to go down 50 ticks? Now, if you did this before, you would have guessed the wrong way because it actually broke down. But the idea behind this type of approach is to predict where the price is more likely to be going. So based on the strong Fibonacci levels below, so we're looking at a weekly and an hourly Fibonacci here, the price is more likely to be going up because it's got less resistance over there. So there's lots of resistance below here with these Fibonacci levels. So I guess coming after a baseline broke down and then broke up again, you know, it would have been much easier to say, well, there's a much higher chance of it going up than coming down because it already failed coming down. But these are just little scalping trades that you can take. And of course, any of these type of trades over here where the price is deviating from the wick, you can take those little trades for 20, 30 tick targets. So we'll look at those during this 2-hour session, especially if we're not going to get a lot of action on our main trading charts. So there's nothing exciting happening at this stage. We're having the price just, you know, reach a new high. So we have this brick wall over here. So we've got a nice solid brick wall over here that the indicator has formed. So generally these brick walls are predicting, you know, where price is, where stops are being taken out in the market, where price is more likely to be bouncing off and around. So they are very powerful levels to keep in mind. So little scalping positions can be taken from there too. And so even looking at situations like that, seeing where the price is, switching over to your flat baseline chart, that would have been on one of these small little wicks that formed over there. So just little opportunities to jump in the market for small little trades while you're waiting for the automated strategy to enter positions. Again, it's showing, it's hard to see very clearly on the screen what we're doing. We may even just do some sessions where we only do the YM and then only do the MYM, just so that we've only got one chart on the screen, so it doesn't look too much. Okay, so Adam Perez, when you get a chance, how do we get into the Skype group? So all you have to do is request to join. So if you look in the Facebook, in our Facebook group, there's the links over there to jump on the Skype. This one is specifically for this strategy. I can put you in there too. So just send me a request.
So Jason, when you're doing the scalping trades on the side, do you need to be in a different account?
Well, what you can do too is if you want to take a scalping trade, just click pause on your strategy like that, just so that you know you've got no chance of the strategy impacting what you're doing over here. So okay. if you click pause, the strategy is not going to enter any positions. It's not going to do anything yet. And then you can enter your scalping position. Just whatever you do, do not click on close any of these chart buttons. Because if you click on this, it will kill the strategy on the chart. So if you're entering a position, just make sure you've got a what you call it, an ATM in effect. So like a 50-50, that's what I would use on this, because we've got a 50-50 baseline chart. But I shouldn't be doing this right now because we actually got 9:30, haven't we? So I'm just going to activate the strategy again. Is it 9:30 yet? 9:28, so 2 more minutes. So we'll see if any positions enter on this chart in the next few minutes, being a busier time. So while we're waiting for some action, you know, these Fibonacci levels, as we've discussed numerous times, you know, they are definitely going to show some beautiful opportunities of where price is bouncing off. So you'll get price breaking through a strong level like it did over here, coming back down and coming very, very close to the 4-hour Fibonacci 50% level. And then basically just bouncing off that, coming up. So those are great little opportunities to buy, go long. You know, you've also got your trend following in favor. You do have to watch out for the brick wall over here above. So even if it's just a small scalping position up to the brick wall, you know, it's just good little things you can take that are high probability. So there we're coming up to the 61.8 Fibonacci over here. So it'd be very interesting to see what the price does around this level. Normally it's a very strong level. So so I'm not going to enter any manual positions right now, especially in the first few minutes, because there's a good chance that the automated strategy is going to enter positions. I will zoom in a little bit though. So the price reached a new high of the day there, but it came short immediately at the 61.8. Okay, so we've had our first position on our on our micro thing, as well as our our mini. So we do have our stops and targets. So I did, as you can see, I put the trading stop in place. So you can, if you wanted to now, you can go and move your stops and your targets based on what you are seeing on the chart. If you really wanted to, that's there. That's why I just selected 100 target as an example to work on that. So this 61.8 you're seeing here, that is the second level of the 4-hour Fibonacci. So what happens is from the 61.8 of the 4-hour Fibonacci, we draw Fibonacci levels going up to the 100%. So we above this now will be the 76.4 and the 23.6. So those are the next levels of interest.
So even though we have a stop and a target that through the ATM strategy, it's not going to necessarily execute on that target, or it is?
No, it will. If you move this there, it will exit the position, and then the strategy will wait for the next signal. So
Okay.
I haven't used the ATM in the chart trader. I've used the trailing stop inside the
That's right.
strategy. So don't worry what it says over here, because that's not what's coming into play. It's only what's in play on the strategy itself. So I mean, I just put these here. I wasn't meaning to be using them right now. I wanted to just let the strategy run on its own. Now, the cool thing too is what you can do is if you want to, this is actually a good thing to show on this. So I'm going to increase the size of this chart. So if you've got a trailing stop like we have over here, but you don't, because I mean, you can have a smaller trailing stop of whatever tick value that you want. So whatever you choose in your trailing stop, it'll be there. What you can do is you can tick this button over here to say trailing stop, and it'll put it off. So it'll put the trailing stop off, and then this stop will not trail the price. It will stay in a specific location where you put it. So your target obviously will always stay in a fixed location, but your trailing stop will stay in a fixed location because you've put the trailing stop off. If you want the trailing stop to start following the price again, you can click on the trailing again, and then it will trail the price by 100 ticks. So it's just a little switch to put the trailing stop on or off if you are using it. So we're having the price struggle at the 61.8 at the moment. We're just letting the automated strategy do its thing. If you're having your stops and targets show on the chart like this, and you don't want them to show because it kind of squeezes them onto the chart, you can also just right click in your chart trader area and go to properties and disable this auto scale. So if you do that, it's actually just going to remove that from your chart, and I can do the same thing over here. So properties, auto scale off. Okay. So unfortunately, our MYM is in a losing position because it's on different settings to our YM, which it has to be anyway because it's not the same contract. So that one's in a losing position, but our YM is in a good position at this stage. Price has broken above the 61.8. We'll see if it comes back and retests it and what it does around that level. We took away, I mean, the next strong level is this 23.6. That's the next level of interest for price. So there's a good chance they might take it around here and then bounce it off there. So it depends on just how strong those specific levels are. Again, I'm just going to see if I should move this side by side. I'm trying to find the best way to view these charts on the screen. I think like that might be better. I don't know. Tell me what appears better on your chart, on your screen. I just can't get it to appear very nicely on here. I can also go and adjust the margin. So if I can go into the properties, and I can just make this margin a bit narrower. So 50 will do over there, and the same over here. So properties, and the right side margin is 50. Okay. Bam. Okay, so like right now we're seeing the price come up to the 100%. It's the high basically, but it's got a 23 above and a 76 above, and it's going to come back down and retest the 61. So it'll be interesting to see what happens around these levels and what it actually does. So it's come back to the 61.8. So if I was doing manual positions right now, I would be very, very keen to enter a long at that level because it's a strong level. So all they're basically doing is they take the market up, come back down to take out some stops, suck everybody into selling, and then push the price up again. So, that's more than likely what is happening. You're not going to have many people that's going to have these Fibonacci levels on their chart, so they won't even know what the hell's going on. This is very key. So, like coming up to these levels here, I would be very, I would be very interested to monitor what's happening around here, because we've got a strong 76.4 and a 23.6. So are we going to have the price bouncing off these levels or continuing through? Sometimes they can just come and touch, come back down, and then retest and then break through. We're still in a sell over here on our MYM. So monitor that. So as you can see, the price, the strategy forms these brick walls. So what that's basically saying that if the price breaks below that, we more than likely could have a reversal coming. We are stuck between two significant, Fibonacci numbers right now, so it could do anything at this level. Seems to be failing a little bit over here, though. So if you wanted to now, you can go and move your stop. That's the nice thing about having a stop on here. Now I've got 100 trading stops. So the good thing is it's not going to move it unless it's 100 ticks away. That's why I chose 100 in the settings. If you've got a 40 trading stop, then it will keep trying to trail the price by 40 ticks, and then you'll keep having to moving it away all the time, or deactivating the trading stop itself. So we've had a test over there of that 76.4, almost to the tick. It's come down, didn't come quite as near to the 61.8. So it doesn't seem it wants to come and retest the 61.8. And now it's back at the 76.4. So very strong levels. It's actually the 100% on the 5 minute and the 76.4. So it's a strong, strong level. So we'll see if it smashes right through, then it's probably going to rise up significantly after that. Excuse the snipping. So the next level above that is the 76.4 on the 4 hour, because we just passed the 61. You see, we are approaching the MYM. I'm just going to move this out of the way on the MYM. See, at any point you can take your profits, but you also want to try and you also want to let your profits run as much as possible. Try not just to scalp and get tiny little things out the market unless you are definitely seeing a strong resistance to price around those strong Fibonacci levels. If the price is breaking through them easily up and down, you know that that's not a very strong level. Unless it's gonna stay below it. And then you can also use your previous Fibonacci as your as a stop. So you can say, you know what, I'm prepared to if the price breaks below this Fibonacci over here, then I'm happy to get out the market. But what we're hoping it'll happen is this one will break through and the price will go up, because as you can see above this Fibonacci, above these Fibonacci's here, there's a huge gap going up to the 76.4. So you can bet that if this has to break up, there's nothing really stopping this price from, entering into this zone over here. So that is quite a, it's got quite a distance to travel even up to the 76. It's a good 50 odd ticks in that direction. So again, I'm just going to do this now. Then again, the 76 might prove to be a strong level, which it looks like it might be doing. So then it might be a case of just letting the stop being taken at this, like that. So the stop was hit there. I moved the trading stop so that it can hit. So it definitely seemed that the 76 proved to be a very strong level, at least for right now. So, did we exit that prematurely? Who knows? If it breaks above the 76, then we can pause the strategy, because I don't think there's going to be another trade in and around this area. Then we can go long. What we can also do right now is, if you are convinced the price is going to be going up, you can select long only. But from what we could see over there, it resisted around the 76. So that Fibonacci level proved to be very, very powerful. And now we're coming back to retest the 61.8. So what will that hold? Will that hold a strong resistance again, seeing that price broke up, came back up, came back down again to retest the 61? Is this going to be another instance where it's just going to come, take out some stops for people that are selling, and then go up again? Or is this 76.4 that it just failed to break through, is that the actual reversal point? Okay, so we're like right on that 61.8 now. So what we can also do right now is we can switch over to our 51 baseline chart, and we can make some assumptions on what price is going to do. So we're looking at price over here. It's struggling at the 61.8. We can pause the strategy on there. Too late. So what I was thinking of doing there is actually entering a manual position in and around this level right over here, and then predicting that the price is going to go at least back up to the baseline. But let me just first quickly see what's going on here, because that seemed like, I just want to see what's going on here first. A bit of an iffy situation here, so I'm just going to re-enable the automated strategy to see if it entered any positions around here. Because it's broken through the 61.8, it came back up again, and now it seems to be sticking below. So maybe I'll just hold off the manual position for right now. Also, being only the first few minutes after the market has opened, it's 9:46 already. Time flies. Okay, so we're in a short still on the MYM. I can make this data series as center price on scale. I mean, that's okay to use when you've got just the strategy running. It's not okay to use when you've got other indicators that need the price to be centered like it should be, or like some of my indicators do not. You can't have it center price and scale. It kind of just throws it off a little bit. So this very often happens. Price comes out, breaks through a Fibonacci level, comes back up to retest it, goes down even a little bit further, comes back up again. Then they're really deciding what they want to do at this level. So like as an example right there, like I would pause that and I would do a sell market. I'll do a sell over there with a 50 tick risk reward type of a situation. I've paused the strategy. So I'm going to predict that this baseline is going to go and break. Okay, so I'm entering a sell. So you can enter anywhere in that area. So basically what I'm saying is because the price is holding below the 61.8, there's probably a higher likelihood of this baseline coming down to break to the next level, which is over there. And what you can do over here is to make it more in favor of like a one-to-one risk reward type of a thing, is put your stop a similar distance away from price. So the last thing you want to have is a like a much larger risk reward type of a thing. So there we've only got we've got a 25 target with a 22 stop. Okay, so that's just like a little trade that we entered. We don't know if it's going to be productive, but for right now, it's definitely looking like that level is a strong level because the price has broken through. It's retested it twice, basically. It's failed. The price has dropped below, our trend following band. So it's not a bad decision to enter a short at that specific point. Can you go and move your stop closer if you want to? Absolutely. So we're just gonna stick with this one. It's like a 50-50 risk reward type of a thing. We've got a new brick wall that's formed underneath. We'll see the 61.8 if it does continue holding. If it doesn't, then we'll be out. But just judging from what price is doing around that level, and it's almost to the tick that it came back up to that 61.8 and bounced off it. So, yeah. I don't like being in the habit of moving my stops, right with price, because we will move our stops to get a small little profit, but then we will leave our stops far for the loss. So it's best to try and, if you're going to commit to a decision, enter it at like a 50-50 risk reward at least. So, it's a higher probability in a position, then go and move your stops and targets. Again, the price came back to the 61.8, and it just seems to be a very strong level right now at least, that is holding. So if you wanted to, you could actually enter more positions when the price comes back there, and then you've got a much smaller stop if the price breaks above. It's just like little things like that. You could be entering little positions, extra positions to add to your order with a relatively small stop. So even entering on this level somewhere around here and having a stop just about above, it is a smaller type of a stop situation. You do have a few things in your favor here. a strong Fibonacci level, price under the band. But I mean, at any stage, anything could happen. So you can't always be banking on one specific move in the market as your cash cow, really. Seems to be coming a lot more times to test. So I think the more something gets bashed, and the more something gets bashed and hits those, it actually will weaken that support, right? So be careful of that too. That could be something where you say, well, I'm going to narrow my stop a little bit more just because, to save it. Normally you don't have so many repetitions of the price coming and hitting, that level at the same time. Switching over to this chart. Okay, so it looks like the price is now coming back above the 61. Just a teeny bit by the look of it. But if you're uncomfortable now in this position, you can just exit it. Okay, so that kicked us out of that one. So that's now, it looks like it's going to be holding. I'm just going to pop on these levels again on the 5-minute chart, or I mean on this chart, just to get those Fibonacci levels back in play. On the MYM. Okay, so I'm going to reactivate the strategy and just let that run for a bit. I don't like to commit too much around the same level again. Because it's just showing as it's a level that it's kind of a no man's land at the moment. It's broke above, it's broke below. It's like, what do you do, And if the institutions need more, they need more orders to fuel their positions in an intended direction, they'll just nick the price up a little bit higher just to pick up some resting orders so they can do whatever the hell they want afterwards. So you'll definitely be caught out in situations like that. But generally, with your Fibonacci levels, you're going to have it pretty sweet. I've also got a trending baseline chart on another screen. So like, there we go. So that's like a trending baseline chart, 25 ticks, and showing wicks and baselines based on that. So you can have a few different charts open in your yeah, I'll expand this one too. Actually, while I got it here, I'll just put it on the screen. While nothing's happening in the background too much. So you can have a chart like this, and you don't have to have a small bar. Like this is only a 25-1 as an example. You can switch this to like a 1 and even like a 100. And then load like 5 days on there, like that. Let this load. Okay. So like this here will show the price, what's been happening with the price overall. So obviously we know we've been in an upwards trend because we've been hitting new highs, but all these, what account? This is sim test 4. Let me just clean this account up. Oh, actually I can just go to the data series and I can go do not plot. Like that. So like this is the price, obviously from 9 p.m. it basically broke up to a new baseline, and from 9 p.m. onwards it's just been in an upwards trajectory. So you know, that could also be a situation where you are entering trade only long positions because you're in a trending baseline going up. So it all depends on what time frame you're looking at, you know, what duration you're looking at. So we were just like, I was just looking for a small trade there to break the price down. It came reasonably close to it, but overall trending in a longer direction. There's quite a few opportunities in the daytime or during, you know, the sessions to be able to look at wicks like this and, you know, even trade that price back to the baseline like that, 89 ticks, or have a trading stop type of an order on here that you keep trading the price until that baseline breaks downwards, as an example. And by using these Fibonacci levels, sorry, I'm getting a bit of lag on my computer here. By using these Fibonacci levels, I know it looks very busy on this specific chart that you're seeing over here, but you can reduce them slightly by having selected levels and then, you know, acting on them. So like, as an example, the 61.8 has obviously been playing up, has been in contention for a while over here. Before that, it was the 50% with the, you know, the price broke right through past the 38, went back up to the baseline, came back down again, retested the 50%, and then went up. And we're still seeing a lot of Fibonacci levels over there. So we might be on this wick. This might be the wick that actually breaks down to the next baseline. Could do that because we are at strong levels. But just little things to look at. I'll minimize that.
Gotta go, Jason. Thanks a lot.
You're off?
Yes, sir. Gotta run.
Okay. Sorry, there was
Thank
not too
you.
much action, but hopefully you picked up something still.
Now I'm gonna let it run while I go do what I gotta do. So
Magic.
Thank you again.
Okay. No problem. Cheers. So for those who jumped on, you know, after the strategies were all active on the charts and everything, we basically chose settings. So we've had one position so far. We've had one trade enter. And what I actually did with that specific trade is I activated a trading stop. I selected a trading stop and I actually moved my target of that trading stop right up over here, as you can see. And it exited there. And the reason why I put the trading stop there was because this level, the 76 Fibonacci level of the daily, I'm pretty sure it's daily. So it's that deep pink color where the price is now. So it's the daily Fibonacci that the price is looking at. And It was bouncing off there. So even right now, it kind of just touched the 76.4 again. So it's back to where it was earlier. So what happened earlier is the price touched up there, and then I moved my stop just to get it out of the position. Right now, the automated strategy is handling if there's any positions that come up. Now, I did choose strategies. I did choose a strategy on here. If I look at the the real-time and historical results of this, it's not a strategy that enters a lot of positions. It's only entered 24 positions between the 15th, well, last week Monday, up until today. So it hasn't entered a significant amount of trades. So it's basically entered 4, 4, 4, 8, 3, and 1. We've only had one trade today so far. So there's no major fireworks on this. And also the strategy is only set to trade. The strategy is only set to trade between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So if I do that and I look at the trades themselves, that doesn't help. I think I've got to select something else here, right? Half hour of day. There we go. So it's only designed to start from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. And if we look at the strategy settings themselves, it'll tell you in there. Okay, so we've just entered another position on this because the strategy entered its own position. But there I've got a little tick box saying use time slot 1 between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Done. Okay, so the automated strategy has entered a position over here. Okay. We're kind of having opposing trades on this on these strategies we got loaded at the moment. So our MYM has just suffered a bit of a loss over there, a losing position on there. So I wonder if that is, we'll monitor that for a while. Only got 55 minutes left in this specific session, but the same thing happened on the MYM. I went to a strategy on here that has also only entered 56 positions over the last week. So that's using the analyzer, and it just looks like, yeah, so today we've just had that loss, a bit of a gap between the Friday trade and today. So one loss so far on that. Again, I mean, this trade's a little bit iffy at this stage because the price has definitely broken above the 61.8. Now, is it going to come and fail again at the 76? We're in a sell position from the automated strategy side on the YM. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in and around this area. We're kind of in no man's land at the moment between two strong Fibonacci levels. So it's a little bit tricky. If you get to the stage where it's very hard to predict what is going to be happening with the market and you prefer just to stay out, just hit the pause button until you see a clear direction of the price breaking above a certain level or in clear air. So I would say the price would be in clear air once it is in this range over here. So between there and there, it's a lot of space for price to move. And between this 61.8 and the 50 over here is a big space for this price to move. So we're going to see this happen sooner rather than later. It's going to break out of this little range that it's in here between these strong Fibonacci levels, and they're going to pick a direction to run it. So it could be up or it could be down. I do have my stops in place here, so I can go and move my stops and targets. And as you can see, this price just, oh crap. As you can see, the stop here, that's 100 ticks away. That it's trailing the price by 100 ticks. This order. So I've got a trailing stop on the go. If you don't want to have a trailing stop on the go, you can just click the button that says trailing stop off, and it will automatically leave your stops and targets exactly where you put them. So that's what you can do while the strategy is running. If you want to step away, or you're happy with what price is doing and you want it to trail again, you just click on the trailing stop button again, and it will automatically trail the price. So if you have a small trailing stop, as an example, of only like 20 or 30 ticks, you might decide to pause the trailing stop because it's going to be taking 20, 30 ticks below the price. And you might decide to pause it, put it in a specific level like that, and then pause the trailing stop, and then it won't move that level. And then once the price has broken through a strong Fibonacci level, then you can click on trailing stop again, and then it will, it will trail the price. So again, the price has come to the 61.8. That's since the beginning of the session, that is shown to be a really strong level. You can see let me just increase the size of this a little bit. So you can see how earlier in the session, we were trading the price over here at this vicinity. We started over here just at 9 o'clock. We saw the price break above the 61.8, come up to the 76.4, come and mess around over here. We actually entered a manual position hoping the price would go down, but it just stopped us out. It's gone back up to the 76.4, almost to the tick, or it did go to the tick, to the 76.4. It's come back down again to very, very close to the 61.8. So it's coming to retest this level again. But it's kind of the price is still kind of in no man's land where it is at the moment, because it is between those levels. MYM has not had very good position so far on this. So we can go and rerun the strategy analyzer to see if we can get better settings for the MYM. That's something we can definitely do while we are in action here. So I'm going to just click on run on the strategy analyzer for the MYM only, and that'll work in the background. And then we can just monitor what is happening over here on this chart. I'll just activate the data series and make this center price on scale, just so that we can zoom in and out of the chart very effectively. So for you guys watching this, and you're not sold on these Fibonacci levels, you definitely should look into them. And part of this package that I'm offering with the strategy, it actually includes these Fibonacci levels, and it's only $29 a month. So I'm going to be removing this offer in the near future, because the whole system is available on a subscription. So using this strategy with these levels, I think it's quite a great combination. So often when you see price just bouncing around a level or bouncing around a zone like this, most people don't actually know what's going on, but you've got strong Fibonacci levels that most people don't know about, and they are there, So we've had a few valid tests of these levels. So the price could go any direction now. It could literally go up or down because it's not really, they're not getting direction yet on either breaking up above the 76 or breaking below the 61.8 and actually staying there. So, I mean, realistically at this stage, you know, this could literally go any direction. I wouldn't bank on any direction right now that this is going to go on. So, I mean, I'm even would normally be prepared to pause the strategy because it's literally, I mean, even though we're in a sell position here, there's a chance it can go up, just as a stronger chance it can go down. And until we've got a clear breakout from these two levels over here, we don't quite know what that direction is going to be. So I believe that that level and these levels are going to be the key breakout points. We had a bit of a false breakout earlier, which is why I took a short trade over here earlier. The price came down, didn't quite hit my target, but and then just came back up again. Yeah, so this to me now is going to be an upwards type of a thing. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to pause the strategy over here, and I'm happy to take that as a loss on there. You know, that if you're looking at what is this? It is a 16 tick stop, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to one of my other charts and just see if I can jump on a manual position even in a direction. So I would like to see a clear breakout of a specific level, of this level, and not just, you know, the price coming and bouncing around here, just a clear breakout. So just from the history of what the price has been doing today, it's so it's a lot on this chart, but I don't normally like having so many things on here. We do have two indicators though, just the two indicators in this package. So it's not too much, but it's, yeah, it just gives a bit of a nice picture of where price is more likely to go, you know, based on the support bands that we have over here. We've got the brick wall, we've got green bars. So when the bars are green, predominantly, we know the buyers are in control. When the bars are red, the sellers are in control. So those are just little telltale signs of, you know, where the price is more likely to be going. So even if you scroll back on the chart, you're going to notice that all throughout, you know, the price action of the chart, those bar colorings make a huge It just help identify where more likely price is going to be going. So even this strategy here now has switched over to a long position. So I would say from here, it just needs to break up a little bit further, and we're more than likely going to be chasing the 76. So there's the flat baseline chart on a 51, and I think we are going to be going up. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm actually going to enter a I've got a 50-50 ATM in play over here. You see, so I've got that over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a position over there, and I'm going to work on the brick wall that I've got here from the indicator, from the shadow, from the SI indicator. But I'm also going to work just below that brick wall and where these bars would need to go for the price to break down. So based on everything that's happening here, the 76.4 price breaking above, there's a very high chance that this is going to go up, and we more than likely going to see it come near the 76.4. So that is round about at least a 50 odd tick move. Now, whether that happens now or it happens in a little bit later, we'll see. And also be prepared though that if the price is coming back down and breaking below the 76, then we know we've got a false breakout up, and all they were doing is taking our stops before they bring the price down. But this is just, it's looking promising that that could be the direction that it's going to be going. I'm not sure what news announcements are happening at 10:30. So if I switch over to a like a flat baseline chart like this, this is where the price would need to go to return to the baseline. And if I work out what is 50 ticks from here, it's exactly there. So the price would need to go to this level over here to form a new baseline. So just monitoring what's happening here. So often it will break through a level like it did, and then come back and retest it. We do have two Fibonacci levels in play over here. So we've got the 23.6 of the hourly chart and the 76.4 of the daily. And this is also why I don't like moving my target. So normally what happens is you'll enter a position, and then you'll follow your target, but ultimately what they do is they come down, take out those stops, and then push the price up. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they'll come out and take out the stop, which is fine too, because I've got a high risk reward type of a setup here. So I'm basically setting myself up here to only have a bugger off. I'm only setting myself up here to have if I look at my entry, which is over there, so hard to move this thing. I'm setting up for a 23 tick stop, and then my target is going to be 55. So we did have a bit of a false breakout earlier when the price came below the 61.8 over here. So let's hope we're not in a similar situation on this 76.4 where it shows a false breakout, comes back down, and then shoots back up again. We're just judging from what's happening over here. After this false breakout, coming back up again, retesting the 76, coming back down to near the 61.8 again, and then coming back to test this multiple times again over here. It looks more probable that this is going to go up because there's very little resistance for the price in this zone. Very little resistance. In fact, there's no Fibonacci levels there. So we've got a 50 tick area where the price has got free will to travel in. And then the only other option is a very contested zone over here. A very contested zone with a strong Fibonacci level. So they, the bankers and institutions, they want to make easy money. So they will stuff around a little bit for a while in contested zones to take out stops and whatever, but they just want the price to fly in a direction. They love doing that because that's where they make all their money, but they need to take out enough stops and stuff first. So again, I could be completely wrong, but we'll see. If there's lots of resistance to push the price up for some reason, then they'll be forced to push it down again because they just want the price to go in a direction. They want to push it in a direction with as little effort as possible. So for those guys watching this, I set up this group to trade this strategy and to just work with it more effectively. So running the optimizations and things like that, or to run the optimizations to try and understand the strategy better, to get good settings so we can put it in the strategy to run mostly on automated. And while we did that, we thought that we will add some options for some manual trading in between, because we're not always going to have a lot of strategy positions entering. So it's a good way just to get into the market of also doing some scalping positions while you are learning the strategy, so you can at least enter some positions and learn how to take trades effectively with a lot of things in your favor. So entering around strong Fibonacci levels is definitely one of the key points that this group is focusing on. The main focus obviously is the strategy itself. So doing optimizations through the strategy analyzer, which is this thing over here. So running the strategy analyzer, seeing which settings are more probable to give us good results, and then applying those strategies to a chart, and then trading them over longer periods or shorter periods, whatever the goal of each person is. So, I mean, we're not getting real direction over here at all. You know, we're having, it again seems like we're having a bit of a fake false breakout type of a situation here, but it's still not, I wouldn't be in the position of closing off this yet, because we still have a lot of green bars, which means that the buyers are still in control, at least this side. Have a little bit of a switch over signal on our MYM, which is starting to get some red bars. But it's only if we get consecutive red bars and, you know, it shows that the price is back in seller's territory, is it probably a good idea just to close off whatever position you have, even if you haven't hit your stop yet, and rather cut your losers shorter and let your profits run. So I would still leave this, if this position continues on, I would still leave my target over there, because there's a very, very high chance that the price is gonna go up there if it doesn't break down. So it seems like it just wanted to come and retest that 23.6 hourly Fibonacci level over there. And also it seems to be holding above the 76.4, at least for right now. So who do I have on the Zoom over here? Great. So how about your side, Eduardo? Have you had any positions yourself that have acted while you're watching the charts? We've got a few other guys on the call. If any of you guys have had any trades enter or any positions enter, you can pop it in the chat or whatever. Okay, so we hit our stop over there. So a little bit unfortunate on that. So I'm going to go and reactivate this analytical strategy again and let that just enter position. So obviously at 10:30 we had some sort of a news thing happen, or something happened at that stage. We have had our automated strategy enter a position already today to realize 117. So that's in play at the moment. So definitely a major contested zone, unfortunately, that we were caught in over here. With some false breakouts. And they weren't huge breakouts. I mean, you're only talking about under 20 ticks. So it's not like it's a huge difference. So, you know, they're just taking out stops before they decide where they want to go. Our trending baseline chart is still looking like that. So we still, you know, the price did go up a bit and it's come down, retesting some levels. So that is something that is still on the go. we're still generally in an upwards trend. So the position that we took there was not like a heavy risky position because we weren't going against the trend. We just unfortunately got caught in a false breakout. Okay, so we only got about 25 minutes left of this session, and hopefully we'll get a good move before then. And if we don't get a big move, you can definitely expect a huge run to here. It'll happen very fast when it does. It'll happen very fast when it goes to that level. And it'll happen very fast if it breaks below here and it's got all the way to go to the 50. So those are levels where they're going to be pushing that price to very soon. We had the buyers in control of the price and the sellers took over very briefly, and now it looks like the buyers are back in control. But this level has just proved to be a bit shitty, actually. It's just proved to be a bit shitty during the session for me. If you're like a range bound trader, you might like that type of situation where it's just bouncing between, a range. That's great for that. Our MYM has now decided to go for a short over here, which is interesting. I'm not too sure about that because it is off the 23.6. So the prices came and touched the 23.6. Yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on here, but it's about to fly off somewhere. I'm a bit reluctant to take another trade around this level. So this is a flat baseline chart that we're looking at. So this is a 51 flat baseline, and the price has just been bouncing around this level, around the 61.8 level, the 76.4. It's just been floating around there. It really needs to break this baseline and choose a direction. So it's also good to review your session afterwards and see what the chart was telling you, because I've been talking a lot during the session, but it's really good to go and review the chart afterwards, because the good thing about the DTB system and the bars and everything and the indicators is these are going to be like this. That's how it's going to be when you look at it later. Even if you scroll back on the chart, however the price was at the time that you were trading, that is how it's going to look when you go back and review it. So you can go ahead later and just look at what decisions you made and just make some notes and see if there's a better approach you could have adopted. Should you be looking more at, we've optimized these settings. Okay. So we've optimized these settings to give us really good signals. And the signals are basically the price bouncing around these brick walls. Now, it's not going to act on every single one of these signals because we do have true, false in our settings. So if you go into the settings, if you go into the strategy settings, when it says repaints over here, I've got first repaint, second repaint, false, and I've got the third as true and the extra as false. So those are little boxes that I checked. But basically what that does is it's going to enter signals around there. So when the bars are red, it's going to sell. Yeah, if that box is ticked and it is a buy signal, so it's not always going to match the coloring of the bars. Like sometimes you will notice over here, if you look back a little bit, that the bar colors changed over here, but it didn't switch over. It's still got to work on a signal in the background. But you can also look at this and say, you know what, I've optimized the settings. These are the best settings currently for this bar size. And you can look at the coloring of the bars and say, you know, should I have looked at that and maybe entered some positions based on the coloring of the bars? So it's just a few little analysis you can do after your session and, you know, make some key notes of where price was at different levels. You can, you know, draw some markers on your chart. This little toolbar on the left is pretty awesome. You know, it's good just to go and draw some things. Even while you're watching the chart, you can say, you know, if that looked like a good place to enter, I'm going to put a marker there. And you can just judge where good places are to enter positions based on what you're seeing on the chart. And then maybe the next session you can act on those, or even just be more open to entering positions at different points. I know a lot of this is basically focused on the automated strategy in its entirety, but I think these little scalping opportunities are really cool too. If you want a chart that's not as busy, you can look at like a flat baseline chart like that. You can look at, if I duplicate this one in a new tab, you can look at even a larger flat baseline chart. So even if you go to like a 100, one like that, that's going to give you a much larger baseline chart in effect. And you can look at that. Obviously, you can see all the Fibonacci levels are going to be a lot more prevalent on there. If you don't want to see too many on a chart, on a larger chart, you can always go into these settings and disable the one that says 2 on it. So the one that says 2 is basically an extension. Well, it's not actually an extension. It's a fragment of the larger Fibonacci level. So it takes from where the 61.8 is, it will draw from the 61.8 to the 100% and will segment that Fibonacci. So just different charts and baselines you can look at. Work on that. I mean, we haven't had fireworks this session. We've only had a few trades enter. But that is okay because we're picking up things every time too. And you know, we weren't paying too much attention to the MYM, but with the strategy analyzer, that is something that you can definitely look at. So if you're planning on trading the next session, say from 11 onwards, 11 a.m. onwards, you can actually select that in here. So you can say 11 to 4 p.m. You can select that time slot for it to trade in. Okay, I'll just keep this one on and then you can select that time slot and then you can run your optimization for your bar size that you're working on and let that run in the background and then just go to look at it after a few minutes and just see if any settings on there are better than the ones that you've currently got on the chart. And if you're not liking what you're seeing on this, you know, we've had a few positions go against us on this one. Just pause it until you find better settings to work. You know, you can pause it at any time like that. It'll exit. So as soon as you click on pause, it'll exit any position you have. Don't go and use the chart trader icons. If you're gonna get a little bit confused with that, just go and disable the chart trader, because you really only want to be using the buttons of the strategy. If you go click on the chart trader, it's going to close the position. It might even reverse the position, knowing NinjaTrader. But it's going to stuff up the strategy. It's going to deactivate the strategy. It's basically going to kill the strategy, but it's not going to remove the button. So you're going to think the strategy is still active. It just becomes a shit fight, really. So always just use the buttons on the strategy, especially if you just want to pause and then you want to go and enter like a manual position. And there's plenty of them you can do. If you want to experiment more on the MYM instead of the YM with manual positions, you can definitely do that. I mean, even in this session, even though we didn't look at this specifically, there was a lot of things, a lot of opportunities to take where the price returned back to the baseline. So we had all these wicks happening. You know, these could be just little positions where you can take trades back to the baseline, even if you're taking them like that. You know, you got small little 15, 20 tick type of situations where you can enter positions, like little scalping positions. I mean, while you're waiting for the strategy to take effect or enter positions, if you are going to enter manual positions, just make sure your strategy is on pause. And then your manual positions that you enter, you would just need to make sure that you've got an ATM attached to that, and let the ATM, let the target or the stop get hit on it. Don't go click on the close button. Rather move your stop or your target so that trade exits. Otherwise, you're going to have a problem with the buttons deactivating. All right. That's about all. I mean, we've still got 15 minutes left of the session, but we really have not had much happen because we've just been in this perfect situation for a flat baseline. You know, what's been happening in the session is perfect for that, because it's just been bouncing around these levels, but not too good for the strategy itself, even though we've had one position enter at $117 in profit. We had a position enter at profit and then another one that entered at a loss over there. We're still $117 up on those two positions. And yeah, we've just been watching the price in this, you know, in the zone over here. It hasn't really taken its direction. Basically been in this section over here fighting, but it's basically been these two Fibonacci levels that have been in play this whole time. The 61.8 and the 76.4. So a false breakout there, which I took a short. You know, I was at one stage 10, 15 ticks in profit, but I didn't move my trading stop or anything like that. I wanted to hit the target, which it didn't. And the same thing happened over there. We just exited over there. So I'm going to continue running. The strategy will run until 11. What I will do is for tomorrow's session, I'm going to bring up the strategy analyzer again and then run all the data up until today as well. So that it'll include today's data and it'll give me settings, and hopefully those settings can produce positive results going forward. But for now, we're just definitely lacking a direction on this. we do have these Fibonacci levels. I mean, so there can be an option over here just to enter manual positions around these Fibonacci levels. You could have a much smaller, like I just entered a buy over there. You can decide to have a much smaller type of a stop situation. You can say, you know, you're going to have the price stay above the 23. Just be careful when you got price center on scale, because this kind of a just throws it off a little bit. Let me just see data series like this. Okay, so like this, I mean, you can take little scalping positions with the price bouncing off a brick wall. So we've got a brick wall over here from, you know, of the indicator itself. So this long line you're seeing here is a brick wall. That's what the indicator is producing, that runs on the automated strategy. But then we've also got a Fibonacci level over here. But it's not a very powerful Fibonacci level. So I wouldn't put a huge trade up against that, and I also wouldn't have a large stop against that. But that could just be a little position where you can target your 10 or 15 ticks position. You know, if you wanted to do a large position of that, like multiple contracts, just have a very, very small stop, and then obviously have a small target. So if you, like, this 76 has been a real pain in the ass this session. So have a smaller target going to that. But just know that it literally can go any way. You know, it can go any way. Gave it a little bit of room there. You know, there's no fireworks there. But I mean, these little trades like that, like off these brick walls and things like that. I mean, if you analyze these brick walls of the strategy, and it's not only if you optimize the settings to show you positive results like this, those brick walls are very, very powerful. You're going to notice that price is going to react around them. And very, very often the price will come and bounce off them. Sometimes they will break through like that over there, but that was at 10:30. There could just have been a news thing that happened that just smashed through that temporarily. But generally, you're going to have price reacting off these type of levels, because this indicator is exceptionally brilliant, you know, at determining support and resistance. And if you have to combine that with the Fibonacci levels like we're doing over here, your chance of success in entering those positions are going to be greatly increased. So what, we've got 9 minutes left of this session. We're probably going to have who's going to open now at 11? I think it's California, isn't it? California is going to open, and we all know how crazy the Californians are. So they're just going to smash this somewhere in a direction. And by all accounts, by the look of what's happening, it definitely seems that it wants to continue up, because we do have our trending baseline that's going up. We saw on another chart earlier. We've got these brick walls that are holding the price. So those are also good levels to act around. Just bear in mind, though, that we have had some false breakouts up and down. So try not to enter positions long when the price is high like this, because there's a chance it's actually going to come down again until you get a real clear breakout. So rather enter trades around levels like we did over here, where you've got a much higher probability And even if you can enter multiple positions with multiple targets and stops, hopefully get some sort of a trading thing going on. So like I've got a situation here where I've got like 10, 20, 30 with 3 targets. So it enters 3 positions and it'll have 3 different targets, and then they'll have a trading stop that'll move all the stops and stuff with it. So California, so I'm a bit out of whack with when they're opening. Yeah, cool. So they're open already. I thought they opened at 11, or was that's probably out of my daylight saving. Oh gosh, it's already 12:30. What? It's getting to 1 a.m. where I am. So sometimes what's coming out is not very intelligent, especially after a whole day of coding and programming and stuff. Okay, so like I said, not much action today. We've taken a few little manual positions. The automated strategy has been successful on the YM. We paused it on the MYM. I did run the strategy analyzer again. So when you're running the strategy analyzer, a good thing to check on is it optimizing up until current price? So if you're looking at the time on your chart, you bastards, you see what it's done? Even though I selected the 28th, okay, it hasn't actually updated until the current price. So sometimes what you've got to do with NinjaTrader is you've actually got to select the next day only, okay, and then it will work for that session. And what I'll also do to just decrease the time that it takes is just change this to 10. So it's that's like a little glitch of NinjaTrader. Sometimes you'll put in a date, but it won't actually respond to that date. It will just do its own thing. And this one actually stopped optimizing until before the session even started, even though I selected a further end date. So your end date should basically be, if you put a date ahead of today, it should optimize right up until current price, which is what this one will do. So I'll let this one run for the next 4 minutes, and then we'll look at the chart, and then we'll see what that looks like. So if I'm running hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of optimizations, you just got to, the best thing to do with NinjaTrader to check the results is always look at the chart tab and look at where the last bar is. Because sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. Sometimes a forward date is perfect, which works most of the time. Sometimes you've got to use today's specific dates to get the thing. It's a bit all over the place, unfortunately. So that's almost done. I'll just look what's happening behind it. I'm interested to see what this chart is doing. No, okay, let's wait for NinjaTrader to finish. Doesn't want me to move the window. So just notice too that when you are running your strategy analyzer, it does consume a lot of system resources. So this has got 64 gigabytes of memory, so it hasn't really swallowed up the memory, but sometimes the CPU performance can get right up to the 90+%. And when that happens, you can't go click on different charts and stuff because it'll just crash NinjaTrader. So whenever you're running, if you notice when I'm working on this program, I'm like treating it like it's an old grandfather. You literally got to just click things very softly, quietly, slowly, and move things slowly, because you start clicking and going crazy, it just crashes on you, especially when you are running your optimizations. Okay, so that's run. Now, if you look at this, if you look right now and you look at the price, 10:55 a.m., that is actually matching the chart. So it's great now that it's caught up. I'll quickly bring that up and then we'll end the call over there. So if you're bringing up the chart like this, and you are loading a setting. So as we've noticed, the setting that you've been using has had these losing positions. That's exactly what the chart has shown us. Look, the settings, the positions are matching up. So you can see over there, that's that losing position. It came from over there. This is this losing position over this position over here. That one was almost flat, so a little bit of slippage caught that one and made this one profitable. But that's basically matching exactly according to the strategy analyzer. So if I had to go and adjust these settings right now, it doesn't really help at this stage because the session has just completed. But if you are running the strategy analyzer during the session, you can see what other, you can see if there's other settings in your strategy analyzer that are showing positive results. So obviously the top one is showing negative results. So you can run your optimizer and just look at other settings in there to see if there's any ones that are better. And then what you can do is during that, during the session, and this is only a small 2-hour window, but during the session, you can go and adjust to any of these settings. So I'll just switch to this one over here for the last few seconds, and I'll show you what the chart will look like. So this one should show if I activated a long running position, the last long would have been at 9:39:40, so 9:39 a.m. So I'm going to go apply those exact settings to the chart. A very quick and easy way of doing that. See if you move this damn thing. Quick way is just to go to template and save, and you can select MYM over here. You just select, you save the template, yes. Then you go to your trading chart, make sure your strategy is on pause, go into your strategies, and then deactivate the strategy like this. Apply. See, I'm clicking things very slowly, and you got to just react to it. So template, load, and then you got to select your 23 MYM thing. Click on load, enable, apply, okay. So now that is matching that exact performance from the strategy analyzer. So if I bring up the strategy analyzer, I know the windows are very small and it just looks, you know, a bit difficult to see it all, but you can see how the bars are matching. Oh, for goodness sakes. You can see how the bars are matching the strategy analyzer as the chart. So the strategy analyzer is going to, you can keep optimizing it, whatever session you are trading, and always match up. In fact, there's like a little icon you can click on here. So it's this one here saying global. And on the trading chart, you can do the same thing. Click on global like this. And then you can even use your strategy analyzer and you can go over the bars and it will, you can match up the, so even the bar coloring and the brick walls and everything. I know it's very small on the screen at the moment, but just looking at all those levels where the coloring of the bars, that you know that those settings are, you know, are working on the chart. So the sooner you can update your settings to ones that are more in tune with what the market is doing right now, the better it will be, because then you are having the most consistent, or the settings that are current with the market. Okay. Excellent. Okay, guys, it was thanks for being on the call. We didn't have any fireworks or anything very exciting, but I'm sure you guys can see just from that session, you know, the opportunity to take some manual positions, even have the strategy running. We didn't have a lot of positions at all on the strategy. It wasn't a type of a day where we had lots of market movement. Even on the MYM, it wasn't too much happening. And we also had a strategy selected that didn't enter many positions to begin with. But hopefully it was informative, and we'll do the same thing tomorrow night, and hopefully have a bit more action tomorrow night. We'll optimize the data again before the session starts, and we'll do the same thing again tomorrow, and hopefully have a few more trades entered so we can show some really good results. Cool. Thank you, guys. I shall chat to you tomorrow, same time.
Thank you, Jason. Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure. Cheers.